Ruben Amorim has the worst win percentage of any permanent Manchester United manager since the Second World War. That is how bad his start to his tenure at Manchester United has been. He has a win percentage, ladies and gentlemen, at one of the biggest football clubs in the world of 36.17%. Just over 1/3 of his games. Then it was McGuinness, 36.78, to take you through some names that we'll probably realise from this era of Manchester United. Louis van Gaal, as an example, he was sacked and had a win percentage of 52.43%. David Moyes, he was sacked with a win percentage of 52.94%. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 54.17. Eric Ten Hag, 54.69. Jose Mourinho was just below 60% at 58.33. And Alex Ferguson just a bit higher there with 59.67. So it is a mess at the minute for Manchester United, and I'm here for every single second of it. Gary Neville has a better record than Amorim. It's nuts, isn't it? And like, every day I say, look, it's a Liverpool channel, Craig. No more Manchester United jokes or jabs. But you just keep seeing these stats and you're just, wow, how bad is that club these days? It is truly shocking. Craig, did you see Bruno Fernandes blaming Euro for the loss against City instead of taking blame on himself? Yes, Marco, I actually did. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was watching it last night on Match of the Day and they were doing a breakdown of Bruno not tracking. And he pointed at Euro, but you're right, it was his man. He didn't follow him. And that really, I found funny. So yes, normally I'd say I didn't notice these things, but I actually did notice that one. And I also noticed how weak Euro was in the Haaland goal, the one that Haaland flicked it past the keeper when he came out. Euro was rolled way too easily there for somebody who's supposed to be a centre-back, you know. It wouldn't happen to Virgil or Ibu. You know, I mean, he might have fouled one of them, Virgil or Ibu, but he wouldn't have got rolled that easily the way Haaland rolled any Euro. And for somebody who's supposed to be the next great thing at centre-back in Europe, and look, he is a talented kid, that would sound the alarm bells in my mind if I was a United fan seeing that. I love it. I learned so much on here, honestly. I love it. I love chatting with you guys about this type of stuff, because I love seeing something that challenges my own perception or a different viewpoint that maybe I hadn't considered before, because it starts to tie a lot of things together. So yeah, nice one for bringing that up, mate. And they're playing Bruno in the wrong position. I think that's pretty clear to everybody. Bruno is a 10. Bruno is an excellent 10. But trying to make him an 8 in the system for Amorim is just wasting his talent. So I hope it goes on forever, because obviously I want United to flounder and fail. But it's just mental to me how far United have fallen, that they're almost like... Let me read this out. This will kind of make sense, I hope. So there was a story earlier on that said... It was a story, and I can't remember which one of the writers, maybe it was Samuel Lockhurst or one of them, that said there are people close to Ruben Amorim that are surprised that he's not under pressure. They're surprised that his job isn't on the line. And I get it. United are in this really horribly weird situation of, do you rinse and repeat and keep sacking managers, not building at them? Or do you stick with this manager who is so rigid that he just will not change the principles of the way he wants that team to play, because they don't look suited to it and the personnel don't look suited to it. So if somebody close to a new manager is saying, how are we not up shit creek here? How is my job not in trouble? I think it just speaks to how big of a mess United are in right now. And what is it going to take to fix that club? Can they do it? Because it doesn't look like Amorim's cut from the cloth to do it to me. Now, I'm not saying he's not a good coach, but it's still no identity to that team if you look at it. What the fuck is Manchester United's philosophy? What is the way that they play under Amorim? I know the way he wants them to play, but it still just feels like they're out there going through the motions and hoping for something to happen. Can United afford to sack Amorim? Haven't got a clue, but I didn't think they could afford to spend 200 odd million quid on players this summer after sacking a load of people and crying poor mouth, but they found a way to do that. So I don't know. Cache Music said, absolutely agree with you on this one, Craig. Any chance we get to stick the boot into the Manx, we should do it. The gift that keeps on giving. Oh, definitely. I'm never going to apologise for that, mate. Never. And look, I would expect the exact opposite, the other way around. You know, if United got back on their perch in the next 10 years and Liverpool fell away a bit, I wouldn't respect my Manchester United supporting mates if they didn't give me stick over it. So yeah, I'm never going to apologise for it, mate. Every time that club shits the bed, I'm going to be here smirking and talking about it. You know, it feeds me, it gives me life, gives me energy. I love it. And actually, Mark Ogden, on that, did say United are set to reveal the full extent of their financial troubles on Wednesday as they publish their official annual accounts. This comes 6 months after minority owner Jim Ratcliffe said they risked running out of money before the end of 2025. So, how could they go from risking running out of money to spending 200 million quid in the summer on 3 forwards and then a goalkeeper? So much about that club just makes no sense. And then they're talking about this 2 billion Wembley of the North stadium. Michael said, we don't talk about this at all now, but does everybody remember there was genuine excitement that Amram may have become our next manager? Definitely. Oh, yeah. And I was excited by it because I think I got into a pattern of thinking that we'd looked at Alonso and maybe run the rule over him. So I think I got into my own head thinking about that back 3, back 5 kind of type manager. But this is why you and I and everybody else are here sitting talking about football, and Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are out there picking managers because they were spot on. You know, they brought in a manager that would have his own philosophy but wouldn't need wholesale changes to the way the club play. And that was key because you've seen the transition that United are going through and that other clubs have gone through when they don't have the personnel to play it. But this is why the work done by Julian Ward, Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, the whole recruitment team, that's why they get paid the big bucks, because they make the right choice. And Arne Slot probably wasn't the sexiest name out there in world football that they could have gone for. You know, the hipster's choice would have definitely been Ruben Amorim, or Alonso, obviously, with the heartstrings as well. But they knew what they were doing and they brought in the right man. And I'm eternally grateful that they're doing that job and not me. JCF102 said, I was hoping we got Amorim over Slot. I don't think you're on your own, mate, and I don't think it's embarrassing to say that. Ruben Amorim was really highly thought of, and it made sense, you know. We know we were looking at him. We know he tried to call the bluff by coming over to have the West Ham interview. But one thing that's really come clear to me is just the actual difference. We talk about it enough, but the real difference between the Portuguese League and the Premier League, whether it be from a coaching perspective or a playing perspective, everybody keeps talking about the numbers Gyökeres did at Lisbon. And of course he did it for a long time, or longer period maybe than Darwin did. But I'm still not expecting him to be anywhere near the success that some Arsenal fans and some of the media are making out to be, because I don't think he's as good as they think he is. That's why I was so clear and adamant I never wanted him at Liverpool. Never. We had to learn that lesson. And I do think Victor Gyökeres will be more of a success at Arsenal than Darwin was at Liverpool. I do. But I still am glad that he's the one that they got. Because if they had have signed Isak, I'm not going to lie, folks, I'd be shitting myself right now if Arsenal signed Isak. But they didn't. And we did. So for them to try to make out like they're not worried about it when we've already won the league, and then gone and brought in Isak, and then brought in Ekitike and Wirtz, that's why we're sitting pretty right now and quite confident of the season ahead.